Hi there, I'm Kyle Briere. Welcome to another Octave Music Center video. Today we're going to be looking at the basic front panel navigation of the SPD-SX, so let's jump right into it here. So I'm going to hit that power button. Well, you can see my reflection in the front panel there. Hi. Hi. Let it boot up here. Alrighty, so let's take a look. As I mentioned, the power button here is on the front, which is different to the SPD-SX Pro. We'll be looking at all the differences in a future video. But what we want to look at first is this display screen, which is showing the kit that we are currently on. And very simply, to switch drum kits, there's the plus and minus here. This is essentially going to bring us up and down through the menu. So I'm going to select the acoustic kit, which is the one that I tend to go for. All right. All right, so next thing we want to look at is this flashing tempo button here, which is the click track. Now you can see that there is the stop start here. And very quickly, I'm also going to talk about the routing that we're using for today's video. We've got the SPD-SX, the phones out into the Roland KCS-80, which is going line out into the Rubix 24. And that is so that you and I can both hear this, which is the click track. Now I've got a analog knob here that I can bring the volume up and the volume down. So let's leave that in a nice, easy listening volume. And then again, I've got the volume for my phones. So again, this is what we're listening to. And if I turn that up and back down again. So today we'll be controlling our volume with the phones. That's specifically for this video here. Normally you would be running through the main outs, in which case you would be using your master volume output here to control your volume levels. So moving right along, we've got the three buttons underneath the screen here. The first one we're going to look at is tempo, because we were just talking about the click track. So if we select this, the tempo comes up here. Now we can adjust that by using the plus or minus, right? So I could bring that up to 121. Alternatively, we can use this button here to tap out a tempo. So let's go something nice and slow, right? Look at that, we landed on about 83.6. So if I engage here, nice and slow. So let's exit out of that with the exit button. There we go. And the next thing we're going to look at is, I'm going to go back to the first thing here, which is an entirely sample-based pad setup. And now let's say we accidentally turn on a bunch of noise. It's crazy. Oh no, we want it all to stop. Stop. Okay, look, we've got this all stop button right here. So if you run yourself into some trouble and you end up with some extra noise and you just want a quick way to cut it all off, the all sound stop right here is going to be your friend. Now beside it here, we've got the pad check button. Now this allows us to, through the headphone routing, again, this is what we're talking about. The routing today is because you and I are both listening to the phone's output rather than the master output. So if we check, hit and hold pad check, right? And we start that one. Now it's only going to be coming through the phones if I hold this down, right? So if I let it go, it's gone. And this is a really handy on-stage function for checking out different sounds. If you're not exactly sure what it is that you want to start and stop, you can use, and you're again plugged in through the headphones. Press and hold pad check, check out the sample on the pad, and then let go to cease that. So next up, we're going to be looking at the built-in effects. You can see the four buttons here and the two control knobs. These two are essentially controlling how much of the effect we're hearing, right? And then the other thing that we can look at on the center panel here is the FX button, right? And if we can just toggle FX 1 and 2 on and off if we want to. I'm not going to jump too much into the use of these. Just know that this is how you toggle the FX bound to it, the built-in delays, the built-in filters, and the short looper here. So this will be a whole new video that is going to be a deep dive on what these things do, but I'll leave them at that today. We're going to go and look at the menu now. So if we open menu here, we can use the arrow keys to toggle around. Again, this is each of these will be its own individual video. So let's just go to utilities quickly, because this is going to show us the basic information about our unit here. So you can see that we're on version 1.8, which is actually not the current version. So we will also be doing a video on how to update your firmware on the SPD-SX in a future video. So if we want to get out of the menu, of course, we just hit exit here and exit again and exit one more time, and we're back to our fuse beat here. So let's go up to the acoustic drum kit again. And then again, we've got the kit function, right? So if we're on kit, this is what's allowing us to change back and forth. See how that's flashing, right? Now we've also got a sampling menu here. Again, these are much more advanced features of the SPD-SX, so every single one of these is going to have its own video in the near future, but we'll back out of that again. And then we've got the quick menu here, which again is going to warrant having its own video. To navigate any of the menus, of course, we're using the arrow keys here, and I will once again exit out of that. So I believe I've covered everything except for the pad volume here. So I'll click that, and now you can see if I hit a pad, right, that was pad 7, this one's pad 8, this one's pad 9. You can see that there's a volume knob for each of those. Let's hit that again. Right, pad 7, and then I believe I use the plus and minus here to go to, so it's at 100% already, so if I wanted to make it a little bit quieter, I could bring that down to 90 there, and now we just have a slightly quieter kick drum. So I'll bring that back up to 100. And then hit exit. All right, so the only other things that I'm seeing on here that I'd like to touch on really quickly are these trigger in. So you see there's 1 and 2, 3 and 4. That's because there are 2 stereo trigger ins on the back of the SPD-SX. And if you wanted to plug in a dual channel snare drum or a dual channel cymbal and have that bound inside of a drum kit, you could do that. Now, when you strike them, much like when I strike and the light comes up, right? So the built-in LED for the snare would come on, but if I had a trigger in and I hit it, those lights would come up. The same thing with these foot switch lights here. Those would show you that they are active once you've hit them. All right, this has been Kyle Briere with the Octave Music Center. We're located at 218A Victoria Road South in Guelph. You can find us online at www.theoctavemc.com. Keep on creating.